Good afternoon, Anurag. I hope you started accessing the two chapters, that is functions in C and pointers in C. But I don't know whether you accessed it yesterday or not. I checked it on my database, but perhaps you didn't access. But I request you to finish that, both of these chapters, because now from this chapter onwards, the concepts will be more complicated because we will use a lot of pointers from this chapter onwards. Now, this is the second last chapter as far as your first semester syllabus is concerned, right? Second last. Arrays in C is there in your syllabus, this semester syllabus, right? Okay. So I went through your syllabus and I found that arrays in C is there also in the first semester syllabus. So we have finished uh, somewhere around 5 to 6 chapters. To be precise, 6 chapters we have finished. Hmm? Last time I told you when we started pointers in C that pointer is not a built-in data type. There are built-in data types as integer, character, and float or a double. But if we want to store an address of a variable, we need a special data type, special container. That's why Dennis Ritchie has given you a secondary data type, that is a pointer. So when we declare a pointer, we say or pronounce it as integer pointer or a character pointer or a float pointer. What does it mean? An integer pointer is a variable which can contain an address of integer variable. I will repeat. Integer pointer is a variable which can accommodate, which can contain, which can store an address of another integer variable. Float pointer is a variable which can contain an address of another float variable. Huh? So that was the first secondary data type or a derived data type. Now we will see in this chapter is the second derived data type, which we call it as an array. Because if you want to store multiple elements, then it is not advisable to declare multiple variables, provided data type and nature of the data is same. Hmm? So what do I mean? If suppose I want to store um, I want to store marks of 5 subjects of your semester, first semester. Okay. So if in the past, we have done? We would have done. We would have declared 5 different variables as M1, M2, M3, M4, M5. Okay, and we would have stored marks in each of them, right, for 5 subjects. But if you look carefully at marks of 5 subjects, there are two factors which are noteworthy. The first is all are marks. So nature is same. Nature of the data is same. All are marks. And second point is all are integers. So if you want to store multiple constants having same data type and same nature, then you can think of declaring an array. So this is a derived data type provided by the C language. There are various terms, Anurag and Chiranjan, in this chapter which we are going to discuss. So these points will be discussed throughout the syllabus. Array as a secondary data type. I talked little bit on that. Array notation. There is a pointer notation. We have seen that int star ptr. That means ptr is a pointer variable. Int star p. That means p is a pointer variable. So that is a pointer notation. When you attach the star to the variable, it becomes a pointer. So that is a pointer notation. Similarly, there is an array notation. There has to be there has to be array notation, because how compiler will come to know that you are going to store multiple elements in a single variable. So some kind of array notation must be there. So it is there. So next is what is index of an array, very important concept. Then how array elements can be assigned. Mhm. Because normal variable we have seen, you declare a variable int x and you store x is, when you write statement x is equal to 5, that 5 is assigned to x. So that operator we call it is assignment operators. But in case of array, how elements can be assigned, that is very important. Then how array can be initialized, right? Then various arithmetic operations on pointers. This is the second phase of pointers in this chapter. We will discuss what kind of operations can be performed, what kind of on pointer, what kind of operations are valid, what kind of operations are invalid on pointers, that we will discuss here, because using these operations we can access an array. Okay, so again, as I said in the last chapter, pointers will reappear in this chapter, right? Whatever points I have noted down here, the third from the last, that is the base address of an array. This is the most important concept of this chapter, base address, right? So this will be uh, very important to understand, and without understanding this, we cannot go ahead. Then how to pass an array to the functions. So you can see, looking at these points, when you learn pointer, you need all concepts till that pointer chapter. We are going into the array chapter, and all concepts you learned in the past, those will be used here. So that is a incremental learning, right? So individual concept you cannot learn. You have to take help of all concepts you learned in the past. And we will also see two-dimensional array or a multi-dimensional array. So whether an array can be multi-dimensional, yes, array can be a multi-dimensional array. So these are major highlights of this chapter. Huh? So what is there is a statement at the top, int num5. So that is basically a declaration of an array, right? So num is name of an array pair of square brackets, okay, around that 5, that is called array notation. Similar to the star ahead of that variable name, we come to rather compiler come to know that we are also important, but compiler is also important. So compiler understands that we are going to deal along with array. 5 here is called size of an array. So how many elements will be stored in an array? So that size has to be written inside a pair of square brackets. When you declare this array, 20 bytes of memory will be allocated. Okay, we are making assumption that integer takes 4 bytes of memory. Usually integer takes 4 bytes of memory. Some machines it takes 2 bytes of memory. That is the reason we are assuming that integer takes 4 bytes of memory. Then 20 bytes of memory will be allocated for this array of num. As I said before, num is the name of an array. So this is how array is declared. Now, before going to this, we will write a program. We will create a folder first. Right? So array notation. I have given the name as array notation. First, I will take some brief history so that you come to know. In text, okay, x is equal to 5. So this is a built-in data type because it is integer. If I declare a variable as int star ptr, this is a derived data type because it is not built in. Here, this star attached to the variable ptr is a pointer notation. It tells the compiler, this star tells the compiler that ptr is going to be a pointer variable and it will contain an address of a integer variable. Okay. No, automatically ptr will not come to know. Right. For that we write a statement like ptr is equal to ampersand x. So here ptr will start pointing to x. X ptr is a pointer to x. This is a basic terminology. I will remove this. Now, in the first chapter, we have solved a program of total marks. marks of 5 subjects. So you declare variable as M1, M2, M3, M4, and M5. You declare a variable as total, right? And you took input for each of the variable M1, M2, M3, M4, M5, right? So you how did you do that? Enter marks of 5 subjects. You wrote like this, right? And you wrote like percent D, percent D, percent D, percent D, percent D, right? And you wrote here ampersand M1, ampersand M2, ampersand M3, ampersand M4, and ampersand M5. So whatever input you will take, it will be stored in M1, M2, M3, M4, M5. And then you write the program, you calculate the total by writing M1 plus M2 plus M3 plus M4 plus M5. And you print it. So this is how you wrote the program in the first chapter. Right? So if I run this code, it will ask the user to enter marks of 5 subjects. So suppose I enter marks as 56, 56, 45, 75, and 96. It will give total. So we know that M1, M2, M3, M4, M5 are marks and all are integers. So there comes the help of derived data type called uh, array. So instead of this, I will remove this. I will declare an array. So int, suppose marks, we can give any name. This is just like a variable. Okay. For pointer, we attach the star here. But for an array, we will write a pair of square brackets and how many elements you want to store in a particular array. Suppose we think of this program itself, marks of 5 subjects, then you should give array size as 5, right? So this is a derived data type. Now I will repeat everything. This is name of a variable, right? Square brackets means marks is an array. Okay. Compiler will understand on the basis of pair of square brackets. This 5 is size of an array, and this int tells all these will be integers, right? So array cannot contain integer, float, characters, everything, because data type must be same. Now, when you declare a variable like this, continuous memory will be allocated. When you declare M1, M2, M3, M4, M5, there is no guarantee that M1, M2, M3, M4, and M5 will be side by side. There is no guarantee. Suppose you try to check addresses, you may find them, but that is luck by chance. Okay. It is not mandatory on the part of operating system to allocate memory continuously. Okay. But as far as array is concerned, it is mandatory. It is compulsory for operating system to allocate memory continuously. Okay. So this elements will be continuous and it will be having each of the element will be having 4 bytes of memory under this scenario, because we know that here it takes 4 bytes of memory. I think we have shown this. How many bytes are reserved for any data type? Okay, I think I have shown you that percent d bytes. Okay, so if you want to check how many bytes are reserved for integer, so you can write here size of. Okay, and you write inside a pair of code, suppose int. So what is the size of int? You can keep it. So it will tell you, that machine will tell you. Okay. Suppose I write percent d bytes for integer. Size of is a kind of a function. Okay. It is also called an operator. It tells you how many bytes are for that data type. Percent d bytes for suppose float. Okay. Right here float. Right. I will write here character. Right. I will write here char. For double. So I will write here right. Suppose I write here long int. I will have to write here long int. Right. Suppose I write unsigned int. So you have to write here unsigned int. So if I run this code, each of that will give you number of bytes reserved. What is that? Yeah, it is giving. Right. So 4 bytes for integer, 4 bytes for float, 1 byte for character, 8 bytes for double, 4 bytes for long int, and 4 bytes for unsigned int. I think, yeah. It is surprising that for long int it is also taking 4 bytes of memory. It is surprising. But if it is giving size of int and long int cannot be same. God knows. See long here. Yes, long. Let's check first again. No, it is 4 bytes. 8 bytes for double, 4 bytes for unsigned int, 4 bytes for long int. Okay, it differs from compiler to compiler, machine to machine. These some of the values are changed. Then means these are fixed, but change from this computer one machine to another machine. So this is how size of memory can be. So why actually I showed this? There is a reason we are going to use this size of operator in the future always. Now, if I am saying that memory is allocated continuously, then we need to check that. Before that, let's discuss some important concepts of array data type. As actually I already told you, array elements are contiguous in memory. That's why each element will be having unique address first thing, and this address will be, if particular integer is going to take 4 bytes, then first element of an array will take 4 bytes. Second element will again take 4 bytes. So memory will be, addresses will be also continuous. Okay. And that is actually the address which helps you to, for accessing elements, array elements. So what is important is index of the first element of an array is 0. Hmm? Index of, because it has got index, array has got have got index. Hmm? What is the benefit of array over primitive data types? One benefit is that you don't need to declare 5 different variables for storing marks of 5 subjects. There is only one single variable, that is marks. So there is no need to know thinking about what should be the name of variables if 10 subjects are there, 40 subjects are there, 50 subjects are there. Will you go by saying M1, M2, M3, M4, M5 up to M50? No, that is not the right way of doing programming. So in such case, you are not bothered about that. You don't need to worry. You just give single name as a name of the variable. Now, how array elements can be accessed? When I mean how to access, I mean how to store elements and how to retrieve elements. Huh? That is one part. Second part is how array elements can be initialized. And third part, how array elements can be assigned. Now, first thing first, array elements cannot be assigned like this. Huh? You cannot write 5 is equal to 5 elements. So this is not valid. This is not valid. How it will come to know where to save the 12? How it will come to know where to store 34? It will not come to know. Okay. So how to assign elements? So assignment will be specific. The index of, we know that index of first element of an array is 0. So if I write 0 is equal to 67. This is assignment. Assignment. So in the same fashion you can huh? Suppose 87, 91 marks of. So this is 0th element, that means first element. Index is 0. So marks of 0, that means first element. Marks of 1, that means second element. Marks of 2, that is third element. Marks of 3, right? That means fourth element. And marks of 4, that is last element. So these are called assignment statements. How array can be assigned, or it is also called as array assignment. Hmm? For the purpose of just demonstrating, we do not store elements in an array this way, because what is the use of that? Okay, but there is some kind of repetition here, right? And whenever we say repetition is there, definitely we can go for the loop. Huh? So we can go for the loop. How to write the okay? First, if we want to store marks of 5 subjects in a single variable marks, I declare some loop counter and I'll write for I equals 0. I'm not assigning 1 to I. I'm initializing I to 0. Why? Because index of an array is 0. So I can store elements from the first element of an array only. Hmm? So I less than or equal to, there should not be 5 but 4, because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it becomes 5 elements. So index of last element is size of an array minus 1. What is the size of an array?